Hello, Hannah. How are you? I'm so excited to have you on today.
I'm good, Lahana. How are you? I'm super excited to do this with you.
Me too. And is this, I'm assuming like most of our patients, this is like their first podcast. Am I actually don't know the appropriate question to ask. I was going to say, am I popping, you're taking your podcast virginity. There you go. I said it.
Yes, yes, you are. This is
Yes.
my first podcast.
Yay. Well, I'm so excited to deep dive into your story. You can even ask like all of the girls. I remember when I first hopped on a discovery call with you. I don't know. I knew I loved you from like the moment we talked. I literally hopped on the phone and I think I forgot who I messaged, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I just loved our call. So before we get into all that, introduce yourself. Like, what do you do for work? Where do you live? All the fun basic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Hannah Thomas, I am almost 32 years old now, a month
Yeah.
away from my birthday, pretty much. So, I live here in Austin, in Southeast Austin. I moved here about this is year 10.
Oh
Year
my
10
gosh.
here so that's exciting, from Pennsylvania. I went to and graduated from Penn State. I was a career hospitality professional, but I kind of found that, I mean, hospitality is people, but I wanted to do more people-y stuff. So I moved over to HR. And so right now I am pretty
Very
much in,
peoply.
yes, sometimes too people-y if that's a thing, but but anyways, I work as kind of, yes, HR operations manager for a tech company that is remote first. Cart.com. They just moved their headquarters to Houston. I was about to say we're based in Austin, but it's Houston now. So
Cool.
I work on this software called Workday. I'm like a fusion of HR and technology, which is kind of my jam.
Nice. I love that. And what brought you to Austin?
Work. I moved
Oh, the work.
here.
Okay. I
A
thought you were
lot of
gonna say
people,
weather.
I mean that too, but like a lot of people know the really big JW Marriott hotel in downtown Austin. I opened that hotel. So I was
Mhm.
like one of the first like 100 people hired to open the hotel, and yeah, it's
Nice.
chaos.
Okay. Okay. So work. And then like, do you miss anything about home?
I miss fall. There is no like legitimate fall in Austin. Like I don't care how much people try to convince me that there's a fall here, there is not a fall. Because like I mean, I grew up in like near like the Allegheny Mountains in rural Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
and whole mountainscape changes to orange and red, and like it just doesn't do that here.
It's so funny because I'm like coming from like born and raised in Florida. I'm like, heck yeah, there's a fall here, but there's no seasons. Like not even a true one tree changing color. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe there is one tree in Florida, but coming from where yeah, I can definitely see where this is like downgrading fall. And for me, it's like an upgrade in fall for sure. But
Yeah,
I feel that. I feel that. I do love fall. It's the best season of the year.
yeah, it's my favorite.
So yes, let's dive right in. So, like I said on your discovery call, it was like one of the most like moving I think that I've had. I just loved it. And I feel like one of the things that stood out was just like you being raw and like authentic with just your journey so far. And some of that included that like just the emotional and mental component to it. And I know I remember you mentioning that like you turned this like maybe how people thought of you or talked to you, but you turned it into like motivation. So
Mhm.
how did you navigate that? What was that like of just, I don't know, whether it's like family, friends, like just negative naysayers in your life, but you literally like put like use that as fuel and lit the dang fire. Like how did you do that?
I think it comes from, I mean, I'm gonna, not like I'm like so old, but I mean, life experience, in that like I feel like every time, there's so many times in life where I've just taken what people say and I've allowed it to like drive me down. And I've learned through, whether it's a work experience or personal friendship experiences in life, in that like I can't control what people say to me. Like I can only control what my response is to it. And
Mm,
it's like accepting all that negative feedback and like holding that negativity like only puts me in a horrible space, like clearly physically, but also like mental health
yeah.
wise, like spiritually, like all encompassing. Like, and at the end of the day, like those people saying those negative things, it doesn't hurt them. Like me harboring it hurts me more than it hurts them, you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
it's like, why not take what people are saying that's negative? And I mean this health and all otherwise, like why not translate that into some sort of positive impact? Because I mean, there's enough negativity in the world to make it go round. Why not spread some cheer
Yeah.
and glitter and sparkles?
Yeah. Oh
So
my gosh, for sure. And it's really like I forgot, I just read something that it's like it said it perfectly, but it said like it's such a them problem. So like whenever
yeah.
anyone says anything, it tells you more about the person saying it than the person that they're pointing to. It's usually like a deep like insecurity of on their end or whatnot.
Yeah.
But do you feel like it has ever like impacted you? Like when you said like you kind of took it on, like how do you feel like that? I don't know, resulted? Like, do you feel like that impacted like you physically, like you mentioned, and like specifically, like how so? Because I've
Mhm.
seen like emotional and mental trauma or just like burden. And I actually see people like really struggling to like lose weight because of that, honestly. And that's why sometimes they will start to deal with the like childhood trauma or go through it, but then they start losing weight. So it's pretty magical. So I'm just curious on like if you felt like it had any like direct influence physically or what.
I think 150% because I mean, when I think back, I don't remember a time where I wasn't the biggest girl in the room, really. Whether it was especially in my friend group. I've always been the, you know, the biggest girl in every friend group. I was the biggest girl on my sports team, you know. It's like I was the goalie in soccer because it's like I couldn't run, you know,
Yeah.
and things like that. It's like, you know, I was the power forward in basketball. Am I really as big as a power forward? No, but I was the biggest girl in the group, you know. So things
Yeah.
like that where it's like I feel like people stereotype you and they put you in a box even if they're not intending to. And I feel like over time it's like I just kind of accepted, yeah, you are going to be the biggest girl in the room, so at the end of the day,
Mm,
like why should I care about, in a way, in a negative way, like why should I care about if I'm any bigger or if I'm the biggest girl in the room, because that's how everybody already sees me. I might as well just be that. And
mm,
I think so many people get caught up in that. And I feel like I'm still learning from that, you know, where it's like,
yeah.
and I feel like with like the weight loss aspect, it's like I had to get to a point where I had to tell myself, it doesn't matter if I'm the biggest girl in the room. I want to be the healthiest girl in the room,
Mm,
regardless of the size, you know? Like,
yes. Amen. I
and
will.
I think that's the biggest hurdle for me is also like the correlation between health and weight loss. Like you don't have to lose so much weight to be healthy, because it's like
Yeah.
I'm I mean, I'm not down an incredible amount of weight, but it's like I'm healthier right now than I've been in 10 years,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, I so agree. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face. I feel like, and of course there's like an unhealthy weight. And of course there's like in both aspects, being too skinny and being, too big. But I swear to you, the girls that hold on to just like a little bit of like fat, like it's nothing crazy excessive, but I think in this day and age, like if you saw them, you'd be like,
Mhm.
She has a little bit of weight to lose." But those girls are the healthiest inside, and it's the
Mhm.
either uber fit or it's the obviously like way overweight. They are just so chaotic lab wise. So it's like on both sides of the spectrum. And I find that the healthiest internally hold a little bit of weight. There's a little bit of jiggle. Like and
Mhm.
in our society, that's like, yeah, people would just be like, oh yeah, you definitely have like 5, 10, 15 pounds to lose. And I'm like, actually, I find that it's the opposite.
Yeah.
But I love that. And it's so funny because what is the amount of weight that you've lost now? I think the last time I looked in your calendar, I think it was like November. So it's been a couple months since you last updated it, but I think it was like down 30 by,
Yeah.
is that still the case?
Yep, I'm still right above that 30-pound mark. I mean, holidays
Nice.
bring a bit of fluctuation, but I
Yeah.
think, you know, that's part of the journey. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
mm,
No, I think that's huge. And I think everyone's weight loss is so different. Some people are very quick and some people are like insanely slow. And you're definitely not
mhm,
even insanely slow. I've seen it slower.
mhm,
So I love, I I don't know. I feel like your journey actually has been really great to watch in the sense of weight because while there's little ebbs and flows and like little mini roller coasters, when you really look at like taking a step back and looking at it overall, it's honestly it's the trend is just like constantly down. Even though there's been
Mhm.
like in the thick of it, like little ups, downs, but overall like good negative trend. So yay. What are some habits that you've just learned and you've stuck with and you're really proud of yourself for sticking with? And this can go from physical, like exercise, diet, lifestyle, anything goes.
Basic, most simple one. I mean, plenty of water. Like, as bad as it
Yes,
sounds,
cheers.
nothing can, nothing. Stanley ain't got nothing on simple modern, obviously, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, the hydration aspect, and I think knowing that I have to do some of these habits to bring my best self to anything. So breakfast, like I always notoriously skip breakfast. As bad as it sounds, I didn't, I was one of those people who I didn't grow up eating breakfast. It was you woke up, you got ready, and you rushed out the door.
Oh, you didn't
And
even eat the toaster strudels or
no,
anything?
no,
What?
no breakfast,
That was
nothing.
me.
So it's like adjusting to seeing the difference in energy and how I make it through the day, trying to eat something. I mean, I would love to eat every day within an hour of waking up, ideally, of course, but it's like even just eating as soon as I can in the day, that's huge for me. Like the
Yeah.
amount of times before we go out the door to do something anymore, and I'm like, I've got to eat.
Yeah.
So like that's big. And I think just even the knowledge that I've gained, like I consider this a habit because it's like I have a bank of knowledge that when I feel that I'm getting slightly off track, I can default to those things that I know are going to get me back. Like if my stomach's
Nice.
bothering me, if I can grab some bone broth or, just little things like that I feel like I can default to that I would consider habits now of when I'm feeling slightly off, I know how to fix myself.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. This actually reminds me of our last like patient files episode. And we were talking just about how the journey is like there's like this unrealistic expectation of like I heal, I'm on this journey, I heal and I'm good. And it's like totally not like that for anyone because we always have things that pop up like a parent dies and that will throw us off. A Christmas will come around, that will throw us
Mm-hmm.
off. Like you I don't know tweaking your back, exercising, and that will throw like
Mm-hmm.
life is constantly changing, and so there's always needing like room to pivot or change or whatever, adapt. And I love that like you have like your core things that you can turn to for when that time is needed to adapt to, because it's unrealistic to say like, okay, yeah, I've had these gut issues, and yeah, it's majority improved, but they're not most of the time. They usually aren't gone forever because there's usually something in our life that may happen that can like, bring maybe some of it back. Maybe a little bit of bloating comes back. Like we're never just symptom free for the rest of our lives. Like that's just unrealistic. So I love that you have your little core things for those times when they come around. And share with us too. I think I like hopped over this too much, but share with us coming to us. What were some things that you were struggling with? Like any diagnosed conditions, symptoms? Like what did you come to us for?
I came originally for hitting a wall with weight loss and wanting to go on that journey, but more than anything I mean, seeing way too many doctors after being diagnosed with hypothyroidism and being told that this is just the way it was going to be. If
Yeah.
I heard one more person tell me like this is just the way it is, like or it's for myself, like I was on birth control for 15 years about
Wow.
before I came to y'all. And then in 2017 added thyroid medication on top of that, which was the recipe for disaster. And being told by an OBGYN and my PCP so many times that, well, this is just the way it is. You just need to diet and exercise. You just need to diet and exercise. But like nobody will equip you with the tools of how to do that or support you in doing that. And I mean, even when I did want to go on this journey and sharing who I had picked to support me on this journey. Oh, well, are you sure they'll be able to help you? Well, y'all haven't, so I might as well try something else. Like
That's
can
funny.
only can only go up from here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. That is definitely conventional. And it sucks because I think that's where everyone has to have like a story because that's where we always start because that's like what's covered by
Mhm,
insurance. So I mean, it just stinks. And your hypothyroidism is not autoimmune based. I want to mention that
mhm,
because if anything, especially if it's not autoimmune based, there's so much you can do. Like there's so many things
mhm,
you can like work on, like repleting nutrients that may be deficient, gut thing imbalances that can definitely be a trigger. Like there's so many things that you can do for that. And it sucks because the conversation is basically you're on meds for the rest of your life. It is what it
mhm.
is. Like that's it. Like there's nothing more. So I'm with you. I'd be like, I'd bang my head against the wall and be like, what do you mean? So I love that you were like, I'm gonna try something else. And you're not letting that rule you because shoot, even like my parents, a doctor tells them something and that's it. Like there's
Yeah.
no more digging, there's no more pushing for more. It's just like, oh, my doctor said this and that's it. I'm like, okay, well, that sucks. Um, and with your work, I know that you travel quite a bit, and I know you had both like struggles with it as well because it is a little challenging. What do you feel like? Have you overcome anything with travel? Like, okay, I always used to struggle this when I traveled, and now I feel like I have like again that core thing to focus on or to do. Do you have any wins while traveling? Tell us more about that because a lot of people do travel and yeah, I always hate that for that being a reason for people to fall off, but
A snack bag is key. Snack
yes.
bags always. And identifying what those like go-to snacks are going to be and realizing there are so many options, like whether it's beef sticks, for a quick protein, whether, find a good protein bar to take with you when you travel. And then, I mean, look at the things that you use in your everyday life and find the travel version of them. I mean, I always packed plenty of electrolytes and then, like the Vital Collagen, they have those travel size packs, and that just makes such a huge difference of being it because it's like, I mean, being gluten free in an airport is hard because
Except in the California one. I think California is the
like
only place that like legit, like you have no problem.
yeah, and it's like everything's a sandwich. And I mean, I will say like I was a sandwich girly, but like it's just that has been taken from me in this life, unfortunately. But I'm happy about it. I feel better because of it, but it's like being in an airport and trying to accommodate those things is hard. And even you're in a hotel and you're sitting there and you're like, well, I can't just walk to the fridge, but you can walk to your
Yeah.
backpack if you set yourself up for success. So I think that was the biggest thing for me is knowing like planning ahead of time, which was awesome because like I had talked about that with you and Claire and
Yeah.
setting myself up for success and like, hey, I mean, because I know I kind of panicked when I was going to be out of town for a month straight, right? Almost right at the tail end
Yes.
of my program, which was like really, I was like, this could not be worse timing. But I mean,
Life.
just planning for success and I mean that's health overall, right? But just planning for success and what you can have with you traveling because
Yes.
I found that even if you can stick to those two or three core things, I mean even as simple as like those a supplement travel organizer, like you have to
Mm,
have a pill organizer and
yes.
it's just game changing and so that you can pop that in your backpack and just go with it and you're set up for success and so you don't miss a beat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I really want to say too with airplanes, so many people don't know this. The only thing that the airports are really sticklers about is like liquids. So like you can absolutely make tuna salad or something, whatever. I'm just throwing something out there at home and literally bring, or let's say you have leftovers, like a steak and asparagus and rice. You can
Mhm.
bring that through the airport, you guys. I just want to mention that because a lot of people are like, no, I can't bring like my homemade food through the airport. It's got to be something like past like security. I'm like, no, 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 no. The only thing that they're sticklers about is liquid. So of course, if it's like a salad or whatever, then yes, like that they may turn away the dressing. But other than that, like no, it is all good. My husband still looks at me to this day so weird if I pack something like a solid meal, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is allowed. Why don't people know this?"
There's so many options. You just have to like, research, dig a little and find what you can
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, share with us like how was your journey being on birth control for so long and then
Mhm.
getting off of it? And I know you had some regular cycles at the end of the summer, but like, yeah, tell us about that journey because that is a long time, but you are so not alone. I would say I don't know, majority of women that have been on birth control, they'll usually say between 10 or 20 years.
I came off of birth control in October of 2022, simply because I just up and decided for myself, like through my own research, that I just
Screw
wanted to
it.
quit. And then I found Nuvitru in I want to say it started late March, like early April.
Yes.
And I mean, part of it was I was like, okay, I'm like 6 months into this and I feel like garbage. And in my body had not reset. Like I felt better than being on it, but I was like, I just still don't feel like I should.
Yeah.
And so that was a process. And yeah, I gave was through the changes in diet and some of the other things, I got my regular cycle back, I want to say around July, maybe.
Yeah. I think
And
it was like late summer.
I've had it ever since, like, and I've been able to maintain that. And, it's, I mean, is it to the dot, to the T? No, but I mean, I've never had a regular cycle in my life, like even pre-birth control, ever in my life. I could,
Gosh.
like, I mean, death and taxes I could plan on, but my period I could not. Like, it just wasn't there. So, and I think I got off track from the original question because I got so focused on my cycle, but
No, that was the question of just like your journey like with it and stuff.
yeah.
But it's so true. And I would say the biggest thing here is like safety. Like your body, like you will
Yeah.
have a cycle when it feels safety and in so many different regards, whether it's like eating enough or stressing less or whatever. It's all about like ovulation's all about safety. Like, is it
Yeah.
safe? Because even if you don't want a baby every month, your body is planning for a potential baby.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it safe to bring in a baby? Basically, is like what inside of yourself is saying.
Hmm.
So I love to hear that and that you've had
Yeah.
regular cycles. Yay. Outside of it being regular, have you seen other improvements like pain or I don't know, PMS symptoms?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like just like anyone, like I have like symptoms that I can identify when it's coming,
Yeah.
150%. I mean, whether that's, a little bit of uptick in acne. The one thing I still am struggling a little bit with, to be honest, is like I also had chronic migraines and I was able to, that really has, when I made some changes in diet, it got a lot better. But the only time I get a migraine right now is a day or two before my cycle starts.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I know there's some changes I can make there to help that eventually solve it. So I'm sure Claire and I will get that figured out soon.
Yeah. I
But
actually have a document for you. Like as you said that, I'm like, I actually have a document for that.
and I mean I always have pain the first day. Like the first day, but I mean pain on a scale of 1 to 10, like we're talking about like a 2.5 to a 3 versus like I would call off work and be in bed for the first 3 days back in the day.
Yeah. When?
So it just completely night and day different.
Yeah, for
And
sure. I know I tell people, I'm like, if you have pain that's like making you miss work and school, I mean, ideally it's pain free, but like that's a huge red flag of like, okay, something's wrong. So yes, if you're able to still like kind of go about your day with definitely a little discomfort, I definitely want to say that like, while it shouldn't be like painful, like everyone, it's just like our hormonal changes. Like if you feel a little, I actually just posted a cartoon on my Instagram stories, which is hilarious because it's so true.
I
It's like
saw it.
it's like when you're like you just feel so like ugly. You're kind of holding on
Mhm.
to a little bit more water and you're just like annoyed at like the world. And of course, mine comes like more subtly, but it's so funny because it even is just like how I'm talking to myself or like I'm maybe a little bit more pessimistic, like, yeah, right before I start my period. And it's just like the world is kind of like ending in your eyes of like, I just kind of suck. And then like you start your period and you're like, oh, okay, I don't suck. Like, it's
This
so
all makes sense now. Yes, this all makes sense. Like
yeah, so
it can
funny.
only go back uphill from here. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it does. And I will say the on Instagram, one of my favorite posts that I've seen like three in like I don't know, short like within a couple days span. And I feel like I haven't seen these before, but I have been seeing women take pictures of themselves like
Mhm.
during period, follicular ovulation, and like luteal, like right about to start. And nothing else changes, like their lifestyle or diet doesn't change. And it's just crazy to see just like the fluctuations that like just happen with our body. And I'm like, I don't know. It's always just so reassuring to see other people go through that. Cause I'm like, gosh, yeah, I definitely feel like, my leggings are just a little bit tighter right before I start my period. And that's normal. It's just hormonal changes. But love that. Love that for us.
Always.
And so I know you're still doing your Dutch. I know you've done the
Mhm.
stool and you've done some blood work, but like, what do you feel like has been like your favorite lab? I think you did CGM too.
I
Like,
did, yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. So what do you feel like was your favorite lab with us?
I don't know if I can pick a favorite. I can pick what was my favorite about each one, I think.
Let's do that.
Like I mean, because I like the results of the stool test. I mean, the process, I let's just not. But
Feel you.
the results, I mean, it was absolutely wild to me because it's like I had on my stool test, I had results come back about like mono, the virus
Yes.
being present in my stool. And that was just like mind blowing to me. And everyone I told about my stool test, because you just tell everyone that you did a stool
Yes.
test. Um, and people were like, what do you mean? Like, even like my parents were like, what are you talking about? Like, I had mono in my junior year of high school. And at this point,
Yes.
like, that's again, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you mean it's still there? Like, I don't understand. Like, I just thought I liked to nap. Like, but I mean, and I probably always will, but still, it makes sense. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
like some of that chronic, like long mono, I'm gonna call it, long COVID, long
Yep.
mono, some of those things that stick around. And then on top of hypothyroid symptoms that also make you sluggish, like it just, I don't know. I think the awareness just helped make me feel like, even like you were saying with some of the cycle things, like you see other females and you can kind of resonate. It's like sometimes when you see something, you're like, okay, like I wasn't crazy, like I wasn't
Yes.
like completely off base in the way that I felt. It feels so validating to see some of that
Yes.
stuff. And then, I
Yes.
mean, the CGM was just fascinating to me, and like eating different things and watching it go up and down, and trying to kind of play the system and play the game against it and figure out like how can you keep it level? What can I do before this or that? And even knowing that like the most random things, it's like now every time I eat rice, I'm like, okay, well, my blood sugar is gonna spike. So like what can I do? Because it's like
Yeah.
the most random foods and
Yeah.
the fact that it's different for everybody, because it's like I also always like before I would go to the gym, I'm like, okay, well, like let me eat a banana, to get some carbs in, and so I'm not on a totally empty stomach. But it's like my CGM would be like bright red and like telling me like you're gonna fall over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. But
It's so true. It's so true. And like also it's not even just the food because like rice actually doesn't spike me.
yeah,
But it's also about like we can play around with like, the pairings of different
yeah,
things and the timing and then sometimes like no matter how much you pair or whatever, a food just like literally does not jive with you and then it just, it doesn't jive with you right now. So I think that one's the funnest. And I think too because it's like you have something to look back every day. Like what most
yeah,
tests like you do it and it's done. But I will say like the CGM is fun because it's like kind of like my aura ring. Like I wake up and I'm like, I'm so excited to see like what my data is today. And so it's the same with the CGM. But
yeah,
yeah, it's like a lot of viruses, even like HPV and stuff, like they can just be dormant in the body for so long, whether it's like active or not, but EBV is definitely one of them. And I don't remember if you even told me that when I was taking your history. Maybe I'd have to look back.
I don't
Or
think I did, honestly. I don't think I
I
did
know
because
because I thought I remember when that came up and I was kind of surprised. I'm like, she didn't tell me anything about mono. But I was like, she must have had it. And then like, I don't know, I swear. Then I was like, have you like doing your video? I'm like, have you had EB? Like, and then you were like, oh my God, I forgot to tell you that. I swear that's what happened, but maybe not.
yeah, and it's like I don't know how I forgot to tell you, because I vividly remember, like I feel like I told you since I came out of the womb until I was,
Yeah.
current day, because I don't know, I tend to just get way too detailed and in depth on things, but like I don't know how I skipped that part of my
Oh,
life, but yeah,
girl, I had people that are like, I forgot I got my gallbladder removed. So don't feel bad.
because the thing is, it was I mean, it was mono, and I had this thing called the echo virus at the same time in junior year of high
Whoa.
school. And my mom made me go to school anyways because she said, Hannah, you can't stay home from school just because you're tired. And then when I got diagnosed from mono, like it was a whole thing. And I can say this in a recording because my mother knows I'll pick on her about this until the end of her days, because my mother made me go to school with mono. Like I couldn't stand up and walk, and she's like, "You can't just not go to school because you're
I
tired."
I feel so bad because I think I did
Yeah.
that to my husband because he, it's like the man flu. And so like he was
Mhm.
like had a fever and I totally gaslit him, y'all. Like I will fully admit that I gaslit him. And I was like, it's just the man flu. You're fine. Like, let's go. And I'm like, fine, I'll take you to get tested. And he literally did test positive for the flu. I felt awful. I was just like, oh my God, this isn't man flu. This is actual flu. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I was like for me, I was sitting in school. It was like April. So like by that point it's spring in Pennsylvania. It's decently warm outside, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in school with sweatpants, like Ugg boots, a winter
Oh,
jacket, and the hood up in class because I'm like freezing
oh my
cold.
gosh.
Trying to go to sleep in class, of course, too. But like,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. That's hilarious.
So 10 out
I
of 10 do not recommend Mono, y'all. Do not
I
recommend.
I fully support picking on your mom for life for that because if I did that, like if I wouldn't be surprised if I did something like that with my kids, especially like the man flu or something. If my son got sick, actually he's a trooper, I wouldn't pick on him, but I'd be like, you know what, I fully deserve that. Like you can pick on me for life. That's a-okay. Okay, and then sharing, like just working with us, like wrapping this up. How was your experience with us? And you can be brutally honest too.
It was awesome. I will say, when I started out with one dietitian and then
Allison, I think.
yeah, I started out with Allison and then due to some shifts around, I got transitioned over to working with Claire. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous about that because it's like
Mm,
in a way, I don't know, you just kind of revert to like past experiences. You're like, okay, like how's like because I really did connect with Allison. Like we worked really well together. I felt like she was,
yeah,
totally in my corner. And I felt like I had explained everything to her. She got it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this all over again. And I'm
yeah,
gonna have to start from square one. And I just felt like, well, this just kind of sucks. But
yeah.
like that was not the reality at all. Like
Good.
Claire picked it up as if she had been with me the whole time. And I don't feel like I ever had to repeat anything because it's like I felt like every time I was going to repeat something and tell her something that I had already vocalized, she's like, oh yeah, I have that. Like, or oh yeah, like Lahana told me. Or,
Yeah,
she had it in my notes, which was awesome because that was really refreshing as opposed to like when you get tossed around between like healthcare professionals in general, you always feel like you have to retell the story and
yeah,
all those things.
yeah.
And but I mean, Claire has been awesome in that she is so patient and
Oh,
supportive and
good.
always available. And there's things, I mean, I don't know, she always has an answer for me, which I mean, y'all do in general, but like
I love that.
she always has an answer and it's always there are many times where I feel like I'm failing, but Claire always convinces me that I'm not failing.
Yes,
And
you're
that's what I
not.
appreciate. And
Good.
because it's like, even when I fall off the wagon, she's like, okay, well, when I do get into that negative headspace, it's like, okay, let's not focus on the two or three things where you feel like you're failing. Let's focus on the four or five things that you're doing right.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate. And I mean, I just think my entire experience has been awesome. That's why I'm still sticking around and you
Yeah.
probably won't get rid of me
You can
ever.
never leave. Just kidding.
And I mean, I loved the Austin brunch we did, like some of those things. Like I can't wait to have more of those and just get
I agree.
in real life touch with people who like get
Yeah.
it and are on the same page and kind of, working towards the same things. And yeah, it's just a great
Yeah.
community in general.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And we love you like just as much. I know that is scary. And that's, I feel like a pretty typical like experience of getting passed around or honestly not even getting passed around, but like you fill out this huge form. And this has happened to me. And you go in to see the doctor and it's like they didn't even read the form. Like, and
Mhm.
they're like asking questions or something. And it's like, did you even read the form that I
Yeah.
did? And it just feels, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't know. It just doesn't feel, I don't know, comfy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't
It's
know the word I'm looking for.
it's like a job interview when they ask you something that's literally right on your resume and they're like
Yes.
they're holding your resume and they
Have you
ask
ever
you
been to
something.
school?
Yeah, and it's like, can you read?
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you?
No,
Yeah.
So I'm glad you didn't have that experience
Yeah.
even through a transition, even though transitions don't happen a lot. But Allison ended up taking another, like a job in a different direction and stuff, which she loves because I still stay in touch with her. And so yeah, I'm just so glad you didn't like that it was fine. So yay. And we appreciate everything that you honestly you inspire us too. So everything that you bring to the table and how good you're doing. And honestly, even the times that, yeah, maybe it's not going the best, like you still have such a positive mindset. And I can't see that for everyone. But I will say like it's so refreshing to see that. And like you're on it. We'll close it out with like, tell us what New Year's goals or like phrases, words, like what do you have for 2024?
For 2024, I feel like I'm heading into the new year equipped with like an arsenal tool belt of health things that I didn't have in 2023. So like that's my mantra headed into the year, is to believe in myself with the knowledge that I have. Because I
Mm,
feel like it's oftentimes, even in our health journey, like we doubt what we feel in our own body. We doubt what we're thinking about our own health. And like no one knows our health better than we do. Even when
yeah.
we're trying to find support and answers for things, like nobody knows your own body better than you. So that's kind of my health mantra, is to lean into what my body's telling me and focus on that to take my health forward.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I love that. And I think you're in such a good place for that. Because in the beginning of like health journeys, it can be really hard to lean into that. Honestly. And that's why it's like when people say like follow hunger cues, I'm like, no, you don't even know what your hunger cues are so messed up, like, and I feel like you've had such like 2023, like that jump start. And so now like I truly think you can finally like lean into that, trust that. I think things are way, more intact than what they were and stuff. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for those brunches too. I definitely can't wait to do the next one. It was so fun. But yes, do you have any like, I don't know, information, social medias that you want to share? No worries if not, but you know,
I'm not that active. I follow you to
yeah.
see what you post, so everyone should just follow you, because if you post it, that's probably what I'm doing.
Yes, I'll take it. Well, amazing, Hannah. It was so nice to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Lahana. I appreciate it.